Do you ever have that moment when you're out with him, maybe you're at a family gathering, a work event, dinner with friends, and suddenly the narcissist turns into the most charming, generous, likable person in the room? He remembers people's names, he cracks jokes, he pulls out chairs for people, he helps elderly relatives down the stairs, like everyone's awe. There's compliments flying, friends turn to you and they're like, wow, you're so lucky. And for a second, just for a second, you believe it. You start thinking, maybe I've been too hard on him. Maybe I overreact. Maybe he is a great person and I just don't see it when we're alone. And then the second you get in the car, all of a sudden the mask drops. That warmth, it's gone. The charm, dead. You say something, anything, and he barely responds. Or worse, he snaps back at you. His tone shifts, his face hardens, and suddenly you feel like an idiot for ever letting yourself believe the illusion. When you're sitting there in silence as the car drives, what just happened? Let me tell you what just happened. You just got gaslit. Now, not the usual gaslighting, where he denies something, where he denies or twists reality until you question your sanity. This is different. This kind is the gaslighting that makes you doubt yourself in a way that keeps you stuck for even longer. Because if he was so charming, so kind, so thoughtful in public, then maybe, just maybe, the problem isn't him. Maybe it's you. And that's one of the biggest reasons why people stay trapped in a toxic relationship with an abusive narcissist. Because how do you leave him when half of the time he seems amazing? How do you trust your own world and your own gut when your whole world is telling you that he's wonderful? How do you explain to others, no, you don't get it. That's not the real him. That's not how he acts, when all they see is a perfect facade. This is the cycle, the brutal, relentless cycle that keeps you second guessing your own reality. One moment you're convinced that he's toxic. The next, you're back in love. One moment you're drowning inside of his own cruelty. The next, he's your best friend again. And it goes back and forth, confusing you in this endless loop. It's like being stuck in this emotional whiplash, constantly moving between love and pain, kindness and contempt. And the worst part about all of this is the public charm that he put on, it's intentional. It's not accidental. Narcissists know exactly what they're doing. He knows how to be able to flip the switch, how to turn it on, when to play the role, and how to turn it back off. Because it gives him supply. It makes him look good. It makes him feel untouchable, and it isolates you. Because now, when people look at you, when you try to tell them that he's toxic, nobody believes you. You try to tell a friend, hey, he's not who you think he is, and they brush it off. What are you talking about? He's amazing. You tell your family, he's emotionally abusive, and then they look at you sideways. He's always been so sweet to us. Because he's done this for a period of time. And as a period of time happens, your support system starts slipping away. Because now you look like you're the problem. You look like you're the one with the issue. You're the one that seems to be off. You're the one that always seems ungrateful, dramatic, or even unstable. You're the one that's complaining about a person that everyone else adores, everyone else loves. And that's the real gaslighting, the slow psychological breakdown of your perception of reality. Because now you start blaming yourself. Not at first, but little by little. Thinking you might be too sensitive. Maybe you're overreacting. Maybe you just need to try harder to be able to get that version of him out there back at home. And so you stay. You convince yourself that the good parts outweigh the bad parts. That if he can be kind and that loving and that charismatic in front of other people, that maybe, just maybe, he's capable of being that way all the time. If you could just figure out how to make him happy, how to pull the right levers, how to fix that issue so that he would show up for you. Let me be real with you. That charming version of him wasn't real. It was a mask. It was performance. It was a calculated act that he put on where he needed to impress people. The real him is the one that's behind the closed doors, the coldness, the passive aggressiveness, the insults, the manipulation. And when you start believing in the mask more than the reality, you're the one that becomes trapped. Because every time he turns the charm back on, even if it's just for a moment, for a second, it re-hooks you. It gives you that hope. It makes you think that things aren't as bad as what they actually seem. Hope that maybe this time it'll be different. Hope that the person you fell in love with is maybe somewhere still inside. And that hope is what keeps you stuck in an endless loop, in an endless cycle. It's not love that keeps you there. It's hope. It's hopeful that they'll change. Hopeful that he'll finally see your worth. Hope that you're not wasting your time and that it'll finally work out. You'll get the life that you currently want. But that hope is dangerous inside of a narcissistic relationship. Because every time you think that you're seeing progress, every time that you think that they're getting better, every time that you think that the relationship is turning a corner, It's not. It's just a part of the cycle. It's part of the ups and the downs. It's the love bomb. It's the devalue. It's the discard. It's the hoover. It's the love bomb. It's the devalue. It's the discard. It's the hoover. And it repeats over and over and over. That's why the second you get home from dinner, the second you're alone with him again, the shift happens. The warmth is gone. The kindness disappears. The contempt comes back full force. Because he was never doing it for you. He was doing it for everyone else to get that validation and attention. He was doing it for himself so he could actually feel better about himself, for the admiration, for the attention, for the validation, for the power trip of fooling the entire room while you sit there confused and questioning your own sanity, your own worth, your own value. It's like he has two completely different personas, two different personalities that show up in different ways. And in a way, he actually does, because he doesn't see you the same way that he sees other people. He's looking at you different. To the outside world, he puts on a show. He doesn't need to manipulate strangers. He doesn't need to control acquaintances because they don't actually know him. They don't actually see underneath the mask. But you see too much. You see who he actually is at home because you see him at his worst. You actually know the truth. And because of that, you are the biggest threat to his illusion. The biggest threat to be able to break apart who he actually is. That's why in private, he treats you like nothing. That's why when no one else is watching, he tears you down. He belittles you, makes you feel small. That's why the closer you try to get, the colder he becomes and the more he pushes you away. Because narcissists don't do real intimacy. It's not a piece in their life. They do power. They have control. They do image management. They do the story that they're telling everybody else. They try to manage control of that narrative. And you're just another part of that story. You're another part of that image. So what happens when you finally wake up to the truth? What happens when you stop believing the public version of him in the mask that he's portrayed? What happens when you stop chasing the mask and you start seeing the real person behind it versus the mask that's in front of you? What happens when you finally wake up to the truth that you're in a toxic relationship? What happens when you stop believing in all of his lies? When you stop chasing the illusion, you start seeing him for who he really is. I'll tell you exactly what happens. Once you start seeing this, the narcissist oftentimes will panic. Because when you stop buying his act, when you stop reacting to his abuse, when you stop believing in the false version of him, that's when he starts to lose control over you. And a narcissist without control, well, that's a narcissist on the brink of collapse. Because he has to be able to control the narrative, and if you break that, it's going to look bad on him. So he does what he always does. He doubles down. He tries to hoover you back in. Tries to coerce you into doing different things. He senses that you're slipping away, so he pulls out the same tricks that worked before. Maybe if I do this, she'll come back. Maybe if I do this, she'll see me. And they suddenly start treating you better. Maybe they say, hey, I don't want to fight over this anymore. Could we just start over? Maybe they throw in a fake apology. I know I haven't been perfect, but I really do love you. And for a second, you feel the pull. You feel the tiny voice in the back of your head that says, maybe they're finally getting it. Maybe he's finally understanding and he's going to change. Maybe, but no. He's not getting it. He's losing it. He's losing you. He's losing his control and his control over the narrative of who he is. And that's what this is about. It's not about love. It's not about remorse. It's not about him changing or transforming. It's about control, controlling his image to other people. And the second he knows that his grip is slipping and you're slipping away, the second he senses that you're waking up to reality, that you're seeing him clearly, he will do anything to pull you back in. And if that hoover doesn't work, if you stand strong and you actually don't take the bait, then that's where the rage comes out. Rage because the mask fully drops at this point. He stops pretending to be kind. He stops pretending to be loving. He stops pretending to care. He stops pretending to be the victim, and it just starts raging out at you. Instead, he starts lashing out. Like he starts accusing you of, why are you so ungrateful? I can't believe you do this. He starts telling you that you're the problem. You're the issue in the relationship. And he twists everything around to act like you're the abuser and that he's the one getting abused. Because if he can't control you with charm, he'll try to control you with fear. And if that doesn't work, then he'll just change the story. He'll rewrite history and say that things never happened. He'll tell people that you are the toxic one, that you are the impossible one to please, and that you never were happy no matter what he did. And that he tried over and over and over again, but no matter what he did, you still decide to leave. He makes himself the victim in every single conversation. He smears your name, your character, your reputation with your friends and family. And then people start looking at you differently. Mutual friends stop reaching out anymore. Family members start questioning your own decisions. And people once supported you are now wondering, maybe you were actually the problem to start off with. Maybe it was you. And that's what keeps so many people trapped, because they're afraid and they're scared of it. Because it's not just about breaking free from the narcissist, it's about breaking free from the entire illusion that he created around you. The illusion that he's been playing and gaming around you this entire time. It's about unlearning everything that he made you believe about yourself. That you were too sensitive, that you're the one that overreacted, that maybe, just maybe, you are the problem. Let's be real inside of this. When you spend years of being manipulated, gaslit, broken down, conditioned to believe that you're never enough, when you spend all of that time, you don't just wake up one day and feel whole again. It doesn't just flip a switch and everything's great. The damage that's been under you for such a long period of time, it runs deep. So many people go back because they're afraid to do the work. They're afraid to work through the damage that's there. Not because they don't know better, they want to be healed. Not because they don't want to be free, they want to be liberated, but because the abuse has rewired your brain to crave it. To crave the chaos, to crave the conditioning, to crave every single thing that happens, because even though it's painful, even though it's toxic, even though it's breaking you down, it's also familiar and it feels comfortable. And sometimes familiar pain feels safer than the unknown, because at least with him, you know what to expect. At least with him, you know how to navigate the highs and the lows. At least with him, you don't have to face the emptiness of starting over. You don't have to deal with that. And that many times is what keeps people stuck, trapped in this same exact cycle over and over. It's not love that keeps you there. You might think it is, but it's simply just fear. Fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear that maybe nobody else will ever want you, because that's what he made you believe. That's what he conditioned you. That's what he programmed your subconscious, that you were difficult, that you were broken, that you were lucky that he put up with you for so long. These are the things that are underneath the surface. But you have to wake up and realize that that's a lie. And it's a lie that he needed you to believe so that you'd never leave, so that you'd stay stuck and trapped forever. The truth behind this is that you were never the problem. You were never actually the issue. The problem was how they made you feel about yourself, how he made you feel every single day. And once you see that and you fully, deeply accept that, then you will actually never look back, never look at him the same way again. You'll never feel that same pull that you're looking for. You'll never feel that same comfortability to go back. You never want his validation, because the day you stop needing him is the day that he loses power over you forever. The day that you start looking at yourself for your own confidence versus him for the validation. That's what terrifies him the most. He's not scared of your anger. He's not scared of your hatred. He's not scared of the words that you're going to say, but of your indifference, of you moving forward and no longer giving him a second thought. Because when you stop caring, when you stop reacting, when you stop engaging in the cycle that he's putting in front of you, he has nothing left to do. And that's when you know you've won. That's when you know you're actually healing and moving forward. You don't beat a narcissist by proving your worth to him. He doesn't care. You don't beat him by making him see the truth. He's not going to believe it. You don't believe him by getting him to admit what he actually did, because he won't. You actually beat him by moving on, by focusing on your healing. You beat him by becoming so strong, so free, so untouchable that nothing that he says, nothing that he does can actually affect you, can ever pull you back in, can never let you stick back in the cycle over and over. Now, I know right now that you might not feel this type of strength. You might believe the lie that you feel broken. You might still be questioning yourself. You might still be trying to make sense of all the damage that he left behind. But I need you to hear this loud and clear. You can rise from this. It's possible. Not overnight, not without pain, not without struggle. It's going to be a journey, but you will, if you choose to do so. And one day you'll wake up and you'll realize that you don't miss him anymore. You don't care about what he thinks. You don't feel anything when his name pops up. And when that day comes, that's when you know. That's when you know 100% that you actually won. You actually healed. You moved forward because you took back your power. You stepped into a place of your own confidence. You got to the place where you chose yourself over him. And if you don't know where to start inside of this, if you're still stuck inside of this cycle, if you're still questioning everything, if you're still wondering if you'll ever feel whole again, then I want you to reach out. I want you to move forward. I want you to drop the word breakthrough in the comments, or just send me a message. I want you to be able to get out of this relationship and start to map out your next steps. Let's make sure that you're out free and good once and for all, because your life doesn't belong to him anymore. It doesn't belong to the abuser who just used you. It belongs to you. And inside of this, it's your opportunity to step forward in your own healing today.
You've been told it's all your fault, and that makes you feel crazy. No one understands you, and that leaves you in a place of being alone. You've tried to break free multiple times, and that leaves you helpless because nothing you've done has actually worked. It hasn't actually got you free or liberated from this toxic relationship. So you feel crazy, alone, and hopeless. Guess what? That's a lie. Because all it is how you've been raised and conditioned inside of this abusive relationship over and over. And as a result, you've sacrificed your growth, you've sacrificed your worth, and you've been trapped inside of a toxic relationship. What if I showed you the path to freedom? A way for you to actually get free mentally and emotionally from the toxicity that's happening right here, right now. You deserve more. You deserve to be able to heal. And I want to help you with that. If I can help you with that, go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. Schedule a call there and let's talk.